Hi all, welcome to another Daytona office hours. So let's take a look at what we've been up to this week. So November 12th. So this week we had a bunch of small fixes, small improvements, and we've been working on a couple bigger features, which I will show in the PR section. So there's a couple small fixes on the UX side of things in the dashboard, coupon redemption, as well as in the docs, where our new colleague Robert has been doing a great job. One thing that I would like to point out, there's been two fixes regarding regarding registry URLs. We would save the scheme in the database, and then Docker doesn't really like dealing with the scheme while tagging images, which would lead to reference format errors, which have been resolved by Toma and a new contributor. So thank you for that. He basically added a trim of the prefix, or actually a replace, to fix the appearance of the HTTP and HTTPS in the registry URLs, which would sometimes break the Docker's way of tagging and pushing images. We also had another new colleague, actually, Mislav, created some long-awaited fixes to the docs search. Up until now, docs would only work when you search for keywords that are in headings, but now the fix makes it so you can search for any word on the page, essentially any text in the paragraph. So that's very useful. For example, pip install Daytona now works as expected. It was reported by a couple users to be a bit confusing, that it wouldn't find it as you would expect. Next up, there are some dashboard UX fixes regarding slow loading, which would add a message to display it as you would expect. There's also a small PR to reuse existing backup registries. This makes it so that caching is utilized better, and then if the backups are all on the same registry, that makes it so that every consecutive backup or ad hoc backup or an archive is going to take much less time and spend less network resources while backing up or restoring it. We've got a nice contribution to the docs. We've actually built a LangChain integration, and we can check out the docs here to learn more. So just scroll all the way down on the sidebar under LangChain. And here you can see how to essentially analyze data with LangChain's AI agents. So it's not too complex to set up. You can take a look and go through the details and get it up and running. We've been working on this for a couple of weeks now, and we've already worked with LangChain on a couple other projects, so it was a breeze, essentially. And here's a reference as well, so you can take a look and try it out. Next up, a couple other small fixes, some small logs that I'm not going to spend too much time at. Another contribution by our new contributor ASFlow, which essentially makes it so that snapshot creation times out based upon the last activity of the snapshot instead of the created time. So previously, if you had a created timestamp, it would, after 10 minutes in the polling state, it would time out. But actually, it's not certain that it started polling 10 minutes ago. It actually takes some time to go from pending to polling. So that is fixed by this. But this will also be a bit less important with an upcoming PR. I will get to it in a second. We also had a fix for the session is closed error. Essentially, this was a session not in Daytona sense of sessions for wrapping commands. It was actually a connection session, which made it seem that the error was on Daytona side, but actually it was, let's say, a mismanagement of the async Daytona wrapper. So right now, it's a bit more obvious in the error what that means. Essentially, you should only use the async Daytona wrapper in the context where the sandbox is living. So if you try to do sandbox operations outside of that context, it would fail which session is closed. So Mirko made sure that is documented better and lets you recover from that error. We also have a homebrew dispatch call, which essentially means that it automates the way that the homebrew package is updated, which makes it much easier to iterate on releases. So we had a small bug there, which is now resolved. This one is pretty useful. This is caching regarding preview keys, preview links. Essentially makes the whole API a bit faster and reduces the load on our instances. So this is a great help. So let's take a look at what we've been building besides this. So I would like to open up two PRs. There's a rate limiting. So both of these PRs actually had quite a bit of discussions, but essentially this one makes sure that at some times people actually do this unintentionally. Sometimes they do it intentionally, but essentially it limits their API calls in a certain period for, let's say, in 1 minute, or certain endpoints. For example, you can only create sandbox so many times or get sandbox state so many times. So this is just like a barrier for us, but also helps out the users, which might be inadvertently running a bunch of requests onto the Daytona API, so they know what's going on. And another big PR that we are hopefully merging and deploying this week is a snapshot state rework. So there's been another big discussion regarding the implementation of this, but essentially it will make your snapshot creations be much quicker. It will reduce the validation time needed, and will also speed up the time between switching in states. So the life cycle is optimized, and it also helps out with snapshot references, which makes it so that adding a new reference, a new snapshot with the same reference as an existing one, will automatically set it to, for example, active, provided it's the same entry point. So a bunch of stuff regarding that. So it should speed up the snapshot creation process for at least 5-fold on average. So that's pretty useful. Other than this, we have a couple long-standing PRs, couple new ones. Ruby SDK, we hope to merge this one really soon. It's almost done. There are some redesigns in the drafts, and as well as some small refactors. There's also a pretty convenient one, which is for viewing the entry point logs of a sandbox. So since the entry points in Daytona are, you can set them essentially to whatever you want. Sometimes it's going to run an application or some stuff that is hard to predict about what's going to happen. So you can view the logs from the dashboard here. Even if a sandbox is in an error state, we'll show you the logs from the underlying Docker container, so you can figure out what's going on. And we hope to merge this one soon as well. And there's a dashboard view as well as a CLI view, depending on what you want to use at that particular moment. We have a couple other improvements. There's a asynchronous registry cleanup. Essentially, this reduces the load on our Harbor instances, which are used to store Docker images in general, but especially backup images, which are the ones that are created and deleted the most. So essentially, this will make it so that we have a smaller load at once onto the Harbor, and instead we'll separate it for a longer time frame so that it's easier to manage. We can take a look at the issues as well. We've been pretty diligent about opening these and trying to be as transparent as possible about what's going on. We had a couple asks regarding our self-hosting or open source deployments. So, for example, CLI profile management is going to be needed there. There is also some UX issues regarding entry points, snapshot shards, so you can take a look here. But essentially, we invite anyone to just take a look at the issues page, and if you think that some feature is missing or there's a bug to report, please let us know. And I believe that will be it. I'm open to questions as always, but if there are none, you can just contact us on our community Slack. Let us know any concerns you might have. That's it. So until next week, thank you for listening, and see ya.